We had so much fun hosting several live podcast recording events this year, including the one that you'll hear today, where we partnered with Change the Conversation, an organization dedicated to helping women advance in the music industry. Today's episode is our conversation with Patsy Russel and Emmy Russel that we recorded live on Music Row last month. Patsy and Emmy are the daughter and granddaughter of none other than Miss Loretta Lynn. Emmy was a finalist on American Idol earlier this year. She shares some big news with us right off the top, and then both of these amazing women share special stories and life experiences from being raised by the queen of country music. Before we get started, I want to thank our amazing partners, the Change Agency, HarperCollins Publishing, BAREFACED Skincare, Cool Springs Wine and Spirits, and if you happen to be watching this episode on YouTube, our amazing set was designed by our friends at Providence Interiors here in Nashville. All right, let's jump right into the conversation.
I'd like to introduce the star of the show. She has an amazing podcast called Got It From My Momma. Tonight, this is a live podcast event. Please welcome Jennifer Vickery Smith.
Oh my goodness, I am all the things. I am excited, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overjoyed that we have a full house here tonight, and I just want to thank all of you. So many of you have said so many kind things about already listening and supporting the podcast, and I appreciate that so much. Yesterday, we put out our 80th episode of our podcast. We started it less than 2 years ago. And the basic theme of the podcast is that I interview the mothers of artists and entertainers, athletes, people who kind of have a big platform to share the journey of how they got there. And so getting to partner with Change the Conversation is so special because of what they do to help women advance in the music industry. And so it was really a perfect partnership. So thank you so much, ladies, for all that you do and for including me in this event. And so I hope that you will follow. You can watch the episode that we do on YouTube, subscribe there, and of course follow our Instagram, which is at Got It From My Momma. So I'm so excited to be here. So I'm going to introduce the true stars of the show, and we're going to have some great stories to tell. So if Patsy Lynn Russel and the beautiful Emmy Rose Russel will come on up here. So happy to see you guys. First of all, thank you for saying yes to being here. We appreciate it. It's been so fun to follow your journey and all that you've done. I mean, I learned so much about the role that you really played in your mother's career.
Well, thank you for having us.
Especially in the later years. And then how much fun did we have watching Emmy Russel on American Idol? Yeah, what a journey. What a journey. Okay, we're going to start with the biggest news of the night. You may pay no attention to anything else that I say when I tell you this, but Emmy Rose has some special news to share tonight.
Oh, yeah. Y'all, me and Tyler are expecting a baby girl. So, yeah. So I'm so excited. Right out of American Idol, I didn't know. So, you know, that's kind of been the journey.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited. I'm so looking forward to it.
And what better place to announce it than on the Got It From My Momma podcast, right?
I know. This is the first time I'm actually fully announcing that.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was fitting for this.
It is very
And
fitting.
I know you. I've known you.
I know. We should tell that story, right? So this is one of those great little Nashville, Music City stories in that when this sweet girl was about 17 years old, she comes knocking on my door, and she's got a guitar strapped on. And I'm like, well, who is this cute little thing? And Connor, my son, who is a music artist, conveniently forgot to tell me that one of his friends was going to come over to co-write. And he actually, tell me the story, he DM'd you to ask you to write with him?
And was just like, hey, I really love your voice. You want to write? And then I ended up going over and met you.
Yeah, I know. I remember it so well. Yeah. But I told him, I said, you kind of forgot you dropped the headline in the story, and he didn't tell me that she was Loretta Lynn's granddaughter. I'm like, oh my goodness, I had some country music
the beauty, though.
royalty in the house.
Isn't it the beauty of Nashville, though? I mean, the beauty of the community to where, you know, people are just reaching out, and they come over, and they start creating, like your son is an artist, and just start creating. That's part of what Nashville is about. So if you're new to Nashville and you are a songwriter, I mean, this is home. You will feel that sense of community here like nowhere else.
Yeah, that is so true. So you guys have gift bags in your seats tonight. If you're standing, please do grab one. I want to tell you a little bit about those, but our incredible sponsors that I want to make sure that we highlight this evening before we get started. But first of all, this set is amazing. It is by the most beautiful store. They have been in Bandywood in the Green Hills area for a while, but right now they are closed temporarily because in November they will have a grand opening for their brand new store, which is going to be so lovely, but it's called Providence Interiors, and they made this whole set look so amazing and truly making me feel at home. If you've watched the podcast, this looks a lot like what we do, just intimate conversations on a couch. So shout out and thank you so much to Julie Brown and Providence Interiors. And then our wine tonight, if you're sipping on a little bit of wine, there's a Chardonnay and a Pinot Noir, I believe, over there. So feel free to get up and get some. That is from Cool Springs Wine and Spirits, and just awesome company. And they're like, we love small businesses and we believe in what you're doing. Let us help. And so they provided the wine tonight. And then in your gift bags, you either have a copy of the Jesus Calling brand new commemorative edition devotional from our friends at HarperCollins, or you have a copy of Reba McEntire's new lifestyle book. It's part cookbook, part stories, all the things. So those are in your bag, as well as our longtime friend and partners, my favorite skincare company, BAREFACED. They kind of have a product that's a cult favorite. It's their toning pads, and you're all getting samples of those in there as well. Providence Interiors has included a 20% off coupon if you want to go to the store, like just so many things. And then thank you again to Change the Conversation and the Change Agency for partnering with us. Okay, we thought we might start with a little fun trivia tonight to get us going because we have more gifts to give away, all right? And you guys are going to help us with this, okay? Okay, what is the name of Loretta's first #1 song that she had in her career?
Was it Honky Tonk Girl?
It was not, but good guess.
Number one.
It was her first number one. A little bit later. Nope.
They need a hint.
They need a hint. Okay, Patsy.
Oh, well, maybe. Okay.
Oh, no,
well,
no.
wait.
Okay, go ahead.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
Don't come home a-drinking with loving on your mind. Now, here's the interesting fact about when that song hit #1. What stage of life was she in?
My mom was already a 2-time grandmother.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
two-time
before she
grip.
hit her #1. I think that is so interesting. Okay, so our sweet friend in the back that got that question right is winning my favorite prize of the night, and it is a gift card from the Monkeys Boutique, which is in Brentwood. And I'm not kidding. I think 10 times tonight someone said, "Where did you get your dress?" And my friends from Monkeys dressed me in this. They're here tonight supporting as well. Thank you so much. If you see me looking fancy anywhere, covering anything, I probably have on something from Monkeys Boutique. So they're so good to me. I appreciate them. Okay, our second question. Y'all ready? Okay, Loretta was the first female to receive what prestigious award from the Country Music Association? Do you know in the back? Yeah, so the thing that's interesting about her being the first Entertainer of the Year as a female, this was 1972, is she was also the first female to ever be nominated.
Isn't
that crazy? Yeah.
That was called kicking down some doors right there.
You
for
talk
women.
about paving the way for women. Oh my goodness, yeah. Okay, here we go. What is the name of the small town in Kentucky where Loretta was raised? She said Butcher Holler. I bet a lot of you knew that one. Loretta received 5 Grammy nominations for a project that she did with what rock and roll artist? Jack White. That's right. Yep. Whichever
That
one you
wasn't my
choose.
mom's first Grammy wins, but it actually was for Jack White.
That was his first
That
Grammy
was his
win.
first Grammy.
Yeah.
And it was for production. And my husband, wherever he went, Philip, I don't know where you are, he actually co-wrote one of the songs that were nominated with Mom
On the
that
album
record.
Van
Yes.
Leer Rose?
Oh, he's over at the
He's
wine
at the bar.
table. He's over there. Yeah, that's my guy right there.
I love it. Oh, what is the name of Loretta's autobiography that she wrote at the age of 42? Coal Miner's Daughter. It was, yeah. When you think about the fact that your mother had lived such an interesting life, by the time she was age 42, enough to have written an autobiography, I mean, that just blows my mind.
You know, you think about it, and it wasn't enough to write an autobiography, but her life that she lived and this story that she told of her life was something that was, I think, so important for not only country music, but a whole culture of people that related to that book so well that, Coal Miner's Daughter remained 8 weeks on the New York Times bestseller.
Wow. Wow.
And, when you think about country music, and especially a woman at this time, it was really, it was quite extraordinary for her.
Emmy, do you remember watching that movie for the first time?
I did. I remember watching it when I was really young, and then actually just recently watched it again when I'm older now, I'm 25. Yeah. And you think it's so interesting, seeing, oh my gosh, they cooked on one of those stoves, and you see the setup of the house, as a kid, and oh my gosh, my grandpa, that one scene kind of freaked me out a little bit. So but watching it as I'm older, it's really rich. It's wow, that's my grandma.
Yeah.
Is that
my grandma?
I always wondered. I never did ask you that question. Sorry, I'm going to take over. Is when you watch the movie, does it feel strange because you know that that's the story of your Mima and Papa and their love story, their life story, and seeing your mom being played by these two little twins? Was that strange?
I feel like it's I guess my normal kind of. I think I'm used to kind of just growing up watching it, I think. But it is cool. It's cool now being older and being able to look at it and be wow, that's my grandma, that's my mom. Yeah. There's a lot of history there. It's more weighty now. I've realized the weight of it now.
Speaking of the weight of it, that movie came out in 1980, and they did the premiere here in Nashville. Shotzi, you might remember that. They had the premiere in Evelyn here in Nashville, Tennessee, and my grandmother, no one had seen this movie. My mom had not seen the final cut. No one had, and they all wanted to watch it together. So every family member came in, all of the kids came in. And my grandmother was sitting with my mom and dad, and when my mom was having the breakdown, the nervous breakdown part in the movie, it was really emotional. And my grandmother, I'll never forget, looked over at my mom and she said, "Loretta, I didn't know. I had no idea." Wow. And it was so emotional because you think you're having to watch what's happening with your kid's life on stage. But at the same time, everybody in the room was emotional. And I think it was that comfort of having that everybody around. And, I was only 15 years old sitting in that theater. But I remember that was a really big moment for me, is just watching my grandmother with my mother.
And you were about 12, 13 years old when it was being filmed, and so much of it was shot in your home.
In Hurricane Mills, in our house. So we're living with Sissy Spacek and Tommy Lee Jones and these family, and Levon Helm in Hurricane Mills. So it was kind of surreal. But, as kids, young kids, we don't know the difference between movie stars, rich people, and you don't care. Everybody is just the same. It's like when you go to people's houses, you don't really care. And honestly, at the time, we were like, dang, it's taken too long to get up to the house because they have everything blocked. But to watch Sissy Spacek in the wig and talking like my mom, as you saw in Coal Miner's Daughter, and how she was able to really mimic her everything to this day. Well, now my mom's passed. I can't say to this day. It's still so fresh. I keep talking about it as if she's here. But even when they got together later in life, they would get back in the bus and start talking, and it wasn't that long ago. And if you were standing on the outside of the door, you wouldn't know who was who. Wow. Whether it was Sissy talking or Mom talking. And they really created that sister bond that lasted until my mom passed.
Didn't Sissy go on the bus and kind of immerse herself into Loretta's life for a while?
She lived with us for a year.
Wow.
For a whole year, Sissy stayed with my mom, yeah.
And your mom taught her to sing the songs, everything?
I think that as singers and actors, they really have that innate ability to just kind of watch. And, I'm sure that there was a lot of times when Sissy was going back in the mirror going, well, dadgum, or whatever. But the first time a little thing on Sissy's playing. My mom was playing the Opry, so Sissy was going to go watch my mom do the Opry. And my dad was there. And if you watch the movie Coal Miner's Daughter, you know that, I mean, my dad was such an important person in my mom's career. She was very shy. She was an introvert. This was something that she would not have done on her own without those pushing, come on, Loretta, you can do it, you can do it. And Sissy is really shy, but Sissy wasn't ready to sing. My mom's out there on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry, and my dad looks at Sissy and he said, get ready, you're going to go out on stage and sing. She wasn't ready. She wasn't ready, and it is still, you can still watch the clip, and you can see this hand, and it's my dad pushing her, go on. And she went out and did You Ain't Woman Enough to Take My Man for the first time before the movie.
Wow.
One of my favorite gifts to give and to receive is a book. I especially love a cookbook, and I have dozens of them. My new favorite is Reba McEntire's lifestyle book, Not That Fancy, Simple Lessons on Living, Loving, Eating, and Dusting Off Your Boots. In addition to featuring more than 60 comfort food and Southwestern-inspired recipes and cocktails, Reba shares never-before-told stories from her childhood on the ranch to her career on the stage. It's a perfect book to give as a gift, and trust me, the not-so-fancy recipes are just right for the beginner or the experienced cook. You can order Reba's Not So Fancy by clicking on the Got It From My Momma Amazon storefront link that I have listed in the show notes and on Instagram. Or to get $3 off, you can go to faithgateway.com and use the code MAMA3. You'll also get free shipping. Enjoy the book and let me know what you make. I'm pretty sure there are two types of dog owners, the ones that let their dogs sleep in the bed with them, and then there are the ones like us that would really rather him not, but every morning when we wake up, Tucker has curled himself up right at our feet, and honestly, he's just too cute to say no to. Thank goodness for the Coat Defense Daily Preventative Powder. This powder is so easy to use. Tucker loves it. It acts as a dry shampoo, and it actually repels dirt and eliminates odors. So Tucker stays so much more clean and fresh since we started using it. You can visit coatdefense.com and receive 15% off your purchase with the code MAMA15. Believe me, you will notice a difference, and just maybe you'll let your furry friend climb up on the bed every once in a while.
I want to go back and establish a little bit of a timeline so that people understand kind of when you and your twin sister were born. Where was Loretta in her career? You're the babies of the family. You're the real baby because you were the last one.
So Peggy and there's 6 children in my family. Okay, my mom had six babies. And Peggy and I were born in 1964. We were the last ones. We were the ones that was an afterthought, kind of an afterthought. But with Peggy and I, my mom in 1964 was the most promising female vocalist, is what she was at that particular time. So they moved to Nashville in 1960 to Goullettsville, and it was 6 kids. Well, 5 kids, 4 kids at the time. 4 kids at the time, and for my mom to really start her singing career. And she was a little bit older when she started singing, and because my mom really just wanted to write songs. That was her real love, was being a songwriter, and she took that very, very, it was important to her.
So you girls were born, and I love the story that, of course, if you think about technology, it's not that surprising. However, she had no idea she was having twins. Tell me her version of that story.
So my mom and dad, they like I always said, it's Emmy and Tyler that's having a baby because they're both having to go through it. But it's so true. It's true. I keep sending Tyler the memes of these girls going, I can't wear anything. I'm fat. I'm so obscuring the heck out of him. But anyway, so my mom did not know she was having twins. And at that time period, her doctor was named Dr. Hasty in Goullettsville. Peggy and I were born in Madison, Tennessee. And we happened to be the first babies that he was going to deliver as well. So you've got a new doctor and you've got twins. My mom goes into labor. She has my twin sister, Peggy. And Dr. Hasty goes, Loretta, I think we'll get another one coming. And Mom goes, just tell her to wait a minute. I can't do it. you know, hope it ain't twins again.
I told Emmy, I said, you know, it runs in the family, so you never know, right?
Well, you know, they've got technology now, and I'm like, thank God.
You won't
Just
be
one.
surprised. Yeah, yeah.
Were you kind of scared when
Oh
you
my
went in?
gosh, well, because I think it passes to the next generation.
Yeah.
So
Skips.
it'd be me, right?
Yeah, it skips.
Oh, my.
Hey, round 2, might be 2 of them.
There you go. Maybe so. Maybe so. And a lot of you may already know this, but I love that you were named after your mother's dearest friend, Patsy Cline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty special.
Yes, I was named after Patsy Cline. My twin sister was named after my mom's sister, Peggy Sue. And my mom and Patsy was kind of like when my mom came into town, her mentor. And you need that. And because at that particular time, there wasn't a lot of females in this business. And Patsy was such a strong female. And I always loved the story because I was named after her. And my mom and I spent about 3 years writing a book called Patsy and Loretta. And during that whole time, you know, I mean, you know the story of Patsy Cline. She's feisty. She's just like that little gal, you know, has that personality. And I was like trying to figure out I knew what my mom was getting out of the friendship with Patsy because Patsy was strong and she was telling her, you know, don't do this, don't do that. These are good people, these are bad people. But I was wondering what Patsy was receiving from the friendship with my mom. You know, because everybody has to have something that they get from the other to make them best friends. And it wasn't until we were writing that book that, you know, Patsy Cline had a terrible car accident, a horrible car accident. And that's how my mom met her. She was in the hospital healing in Madison. And my mom dedicated a song at the Ernest Tubb Record Shop and did a live song for Patsy. And she heard it and asked to meet my mom in person. So Charlie Dick takes my mom over.
Didn't she go, I remember just from reading the book, but didn't she go like straight from her performance at the Grand Ole Opry and drove over to the hospital
That's the movie.
Meet her?
So but no, it was actually the next day because Ernest Tubb Record Shop is a midnight jamboree. Yes. But you know, I mean, you can't put somebody's life in a 2-hour movie, so that's the movie. But it was actually the next day when she went to go visit Patsy. But, you know, Patsy had a lot of facial damage in this car accident to where, I mean, it almost, her whole forehead was in stitches and leg broke and all that kind of stuff. But during that period of time and the period of time of recuperating, my mom was there with her, and that's what she needed. Somebody who was just going to be there with her that's non-judgmental, didn't know her before, had no, you know, didn't perceive her in any other way than just the Patsy she was seeing now, and help her through that. And when I really started realizing that, I was like, what a powerful friendship to have that those two women had. It was just amazing.
I watched an interview recently with your mom and Charlie Rose, who she loved, and she was talking about having you guys, and she said that she played the Opry on Friday and Saturday night both, had the twins on Tuesday, and 2 weeks later was back on the road. And that was the pace of her life.
See, I told you. You just got... Emmy's in the back. She's going,
it's hard for me to sing.
Oh, the baby's kicking. It's hard for me. And I'm like, shh, girl.
Gen Z? I don't know.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. When you guys were born, you were on the front page of the Tennessean, weren't you? You and your sister?
Yeah, because, you know, and this is something that I've shared, you know, that I share with my daughter. As I said, my mom had 6 children, and I had 7 children. So his, mine, and ours, but I birthed 5 children. And, you know, Emmy was when she's my baby, and they were talking about wanting to start a family and having babies, and she was like, you know, talking about career, and I'm like, who the heck you singing to? You're not, I mean, you know, it is a family. So when my mom got pregnant with Peggy and I, she was working with the Wilburn brothers, and my mom and dad actually hid her pregnancy for like 5 months. So you can imagine having twins and being not much further along than you. And she didn't tell anybody. And her and my dad had made this plan that it was the end of their career. That was going to be it. They feel like we've ruined our career, Loretta. That's basically what they were thinking. And so finally they went to the Wilburns and told them that my mom was, she's pregnant, and they thanked them for everything that they had done for them and was getting ready to go. And Teddy Wilburn, who was such a smart man, and they loved my mom so much. It was such like a family. He goes, "Are you kidding me? Who do you think you're singing to? A bunch of single women out there? These are moms." And he was saying, "We're not just going to have a baby, country music. We're going to publicity." You talking about publicity? Shotzi, Evelyn, they put a whole campaign about this pregnancy. That's why we were on the front page of the Tennessean, so that all of the fans through it was Cashbox, magazines like that at that time, could follow along with this pregnancy, with these babies, and how, follow along with our life with Mom. They felt like it was an invitation inside of having kind of like a sneak peek of the twins, and it was just a beautiful thing.
This is for either of you, but what was it like, I guess particularly for you, Patsy, growing up and being so young? You were on the road with her pretty much all the time until you started school. But what was it like for you to see people's reactions, even in her later years, to your mother when you were out and about and in public? And was that a strange thing as a child for that to be just your mom? Or I've heard Emmy say so many times, to me, it's just me, Ma.
Yeah, and it is. She's just my mom. But when you get to a certain age and you understand what my mom's music, I remember standing on the side of the stage and watching her talk and sing to the audience, and how engaged that she was with them, and they were just giving it back to her. It was like a family thing, and I was like, that's a gift that people don't all have. They were singing her music with her, and that's when I started realizing that there was something, there's a little something special about my mom. Because if she walked in here, she's going to talk to everybody. There was never a different persona with my mom. What you've all seen on TV and clips, that's exactly the way that she was at home. And there was no difference in her. And what she was giving her family at home, she was giving her fans on stage, because that was her family. That was her road family. And those fans followed her for 60 years. So the front row of all the Coliseums were friends that had started her career with her and just followed along with her. And it was amazing.
You told me a cute story of being in elementary school, and you kind of realized that your mom, because that was your mom's job, like you just thought everybody's mom must do that. But elementary school, things were a little bit different when, I think, was it Life
magazine? Peggy and I were in elementary school. Two things happened that day. We were mad because they were pulling us out to do this photo shoot, and they wanted to do it at the school, and we're mad about it because our friends are going, what do they get to get out of class for? It's a big thing. You don't want to be a part of that. To be the one being pulled out. So we were not happy about that. And one other thing happened during that interview is Peggy and I didn't know. My mom had just started this duet, a duet thing with Conway Twitty. So they were going to be the new duet partners along with George and Tammy. And so they were the new duet. And they asked us something stupid about how we thought about my mom and Conway singing together, and when we see them singing together. Peggy and I go, well, he may be our daddy. They printed it without my mom knowing it, without my dad knowing it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Needless to say that our interview days were over.
Oh, that's great. Then they put the lid on, what you might say. That's so funny. And then you guys were pretty normal teenagers when you were out on the road. Your mama would want to bring you out on stage, but you weren't maybe so keen on that sometimes.
When we were little girls, we didn't want to get dressed up and go out on stage. That was her job. When she would make you go back and change your clothes, and the bus driver would be spit licking us as we go. This is the bus drivers. Fix your hair. So no, it wasn't like that. And you have to remember too, unlike today, like with artists, there was no such thing as luxury tour buses and these nice hotel rooms or green rooms with lots of food. In country and radio stations, and in those days, you worked the road, and that's what it was, and you worked it hard, and so you were doing 2 shows a day. You do an afternoon and then a nighttime show, and my mom at the time was traveling around 200 days a year, which means that my mom was probably home 30 days a year with her family, because that's the only way that you could get out there and touch your fans and really promote yourself.
One of my favorite gifts to give is a book that has meant so much to me over the years, The Jesus Calling Daily Devotional by Sarah Young. I've heard story after story of how the words of this little daily devotional, written as if Jesus is talking directly to you, have impacted lives. I know it has mine. When people ask where to start in drawing closer to the Lord, this is the book that I share. There's a brand new commemorative edition of Jesus Calling, and it's beautiful. It includes 12 new devotions that Sarah wrote before she passed away and personal letters that she wrote to her readers. It's published by our friends at HarperCollins, and you can order this special edition by clicking on the Got It From My Momma Amazon store link. Or you can go to faithgateway.com. There you can use the code MAMA3 and receive $3 off plus free shipping. Whether this is for a new believer or a long-time Christian, this is a wonderful gift to give.
Emmy, do you have a distinct memory of knowing your grandmother was, as special as she was to so many people? Or it's just how you grew up?
I think she had a billboard, right, like on the exit. So whenever we drive off to
At
go to my
Hurricane
school,
Mills, yeah.
No, in Kingston Springs, where I'm actually from, there's a billboard that says, "Yeah, go to Hurricane Mills." Yep. And I remember my friends would be like, "It's your grandma on the billboard," and I'd be like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, it is it's my Meemaw." They'd be like, "My Meemaw." So yeah, So I knew, because in seeing her, she'd interact with people, and I knew she carried something. I've always known that, but yeah, to me it was like just my grandma. Yeah. I'm sure. Did you feel like that too? Like that's just mom? Like you feel like that, right?
I felt like it was just mom, but when she's sitting on a bus
you
with
were
George Jones
right.
and Tammy and everybody else, that
Right.
it's like there's a little something special about her.
This is not normal. Yeah. How would you describe your relationship with your grandmother? I know that she believed so strongly in you and your talent. And I've heard you say before that your grandmother always reminded you that you just had this little extra spark about you.
Yeah, I'm also super shy, and I didn't really know that Meemaw was like that shy and having to be pushed almost. She always encouraged me, and my writing actually specifically, like she'd be like, "Emmy, come out." She writes like a 40-year-old woman, and I'd come out there and I'd play a song that I wrote, and just kind of my experiences through school. I just write what I feel, and she really encouraged that. She always thought my voice was just different, and she always thought I was just, you can do it, and she'd always tell me, "You can do it." And I remember a little bit later in life, I did missions kind of to find a deeper purpose, because I was so lost in the identity of it all, of who am I, and outside my mom, outside of her. And I remember coming back from Brazil, and she said, "You got a job to do." And I remember leaving, and I remember just crying in my car. Like, it still gets me to this day. Like, we all have something that we have to share with the world, and to not run from it. And but I needed that time with just me knowing who I was, and traveling and doing the missions and being with people and finding out the why behind what I do, or what I would do, or would I ever do it again. But I remember just her really just telling me. What would she say? Like, she talked to you about it a lot too. She would just really,
What are you go off chasing Jesus for? He's right here.
He's right here. That sounds like her.
Yeah, that does.
That's literally, he's right here.
I love that. And write that down. What are you off chasing Jason for? He's right here. Yeah, I love that. What role would you say that she played in you? I know that you talk about you know, you're introverted, you're shy. You love to write, but you took a huge step in making that decision that you were going to, on your own, without telling your mother, audition for American Idol. Was there some sort of encouragement? Did you hear your grandmother's voice in there that you've got a job to do?
Yes, I do feel that like distinct voice of you do have a job to do. And I think it was also just so out there, and I was so tired of just listening to that voice of like, you know, we all have that inner voice of critiquing ourselves all the time. And I was just like, I want to prove everyone wrong, because everyone was like, she's probably not going to do it. She's probably, you know, even Mom was like, you know, you don't have to if you don't want to. And I remember just even looking at Tyler, and I was just like, I'm going to do this. And I'm not going to hide anymore. And I remember when Meemaw passed away, and we got to, you know, just be alone with her, and I remember holding her hand. It's still so fresh because we were so close. Just like, you know, I'm gonna, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do something with my gift. And it was almost like a scary promise that I was making, but I just wanted to tell her, like, you know, she always say, like, a plumber, God doesn't give a plumber tools if he to not use them or something like that. He gave you a gift. You always just say, he gave you a gift. You got to use it. Or it's selfish, you know. And so navigating that, and I'm still navigating it today, but I just knew that might be the place to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That was so brave, and then I love that they incorporated it into your story in a very respectful way. But I mean, you showed up, no makeup, little green sweatshirt,
I actually had a
jeans.
ton of makeup on in the beginning, and I just heard a distinct voice. You know, I call it voice God, and take off the makeup.
Wow.
If you get a yes, you get a yes for you. No, and I felt like it was blocking something. You know, that like inner thing that we have, but this is going to block me from getting to that. Mm-hmm. And it felt like the makeup was in the way.
Wow.
And I said, I need to just be Emmy. And I came in like, hi, I'm Emmy Russel. Yeah. So anyways,
Kudos to you. That's so vulnerable, too, that you, have shared that with us, and then that was what you did and how you decided to approach that. And then this is what is so much like your grandmother. When you think about the songs that Loretta sang and put out, I mean, she was writing about things that other people weren't really even brave enough to talk about at, you know, the dinner table, but here she was writing about it. And then for you to come out, if you are not familiar with Emmy's audition process or the song that she sang, it was a song called Skinny. And it was a very personal and vulnerable story. And the fact that you chose to share that and to write about that, boy, is that reminiscent of your grandmother's guts.
Right. She's so truthful. And I feel like that's probably something eats at you. If you don't write it for me, it just eats at me. It's like having a communication, like, hey, I need to tell you something's going on. Mm-hmm. Except I just say, hey, piano, I need to tell myself something that's going on so I can communicate it with the world, because it's really embarrassing sometimes to communicate those feelings, and music just helps me navigate. I'm having really bad body image. Even after doing missions, and this voice is coming back inside my head of, you know, hey, you're not enough.
What did you hear, and what do you still hear from girls who have walked that same journey, and how you sharing that message has encouraged them?
Oh gosh, I got so many DMs whenever, because I released that song actually first with Songhouse, and Tyler actually, he runs Songhouse, and he was like, you got to do it. We just got to release the song. And then seeing the feedback of it all was, I was like, oh, this is bigger than me. I need to get out of the way, because I was like, maybe we shouldn't release it, or nope, releasing it, it's special. Okay, all right, now it's released in the world. And then American Idol, they asked me to join and come on American Idol after they saw the original video that was posted. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just all the DMs of the people. I mean, I remember seeing young girls, the mom was texting me and said, you know, we were praying for a girl to, somebody to raise up awareness about this, and thank you. And she sent me a picture of her daughter on feeding tubes. And she said, please pray for my daughter. And it was just so many stories like that. So many people struggle. 70 million people have struggled with an eating disorder in their life. Wow. And it's just it gets more intense too with social media and stuff. But it's also a beautiful gift. Socials is a beautiful gift. But yeah, it can definitely get to you. So I felt like they were talking to me whenever they would DM me. It felt like
They weren't talking to a facade. They were talking to me.
Yeah, that's
And so,
awesome.
yeah.
And thank you for using your platform in such a positive way to impact other women. The thing that I was talking to Patsy about that reminds me also of her mother and something that she would have done, and y'all are going to love this conversation, but Patsy took us on a journey, if you follow her on Instagram, through her facelift. Okay. Now, women, we don't talk about these things, right? Like the only way we talk about it is we're like, did she have one? I think somebody had some work done. You know, we might talk about it
heck
that
yeah.
way, but we do not show the journey of the bandages and the swelling and the today I'm going for this appointment. But Patsy did because she is real and genuine, and she got it from her mama.
no shame. No shame
Yes,
whatsoever.
that deserves applause, honestly.
No shame.
To just step up and say, you know what, I'm doing this for me, but I'm going to take you along with me because I know you're curious whether you admit it or not.
Well, I mean, all women.
Videos were like your highest ratio videos. I'm telling you, she got like 20,000.
Put down the microphone, Emmy.
25,000. I don't know, something crazy. Sorry.
But doesn't she look amazing?
Are you saying all my followers are for Facebook? No.
Yeah, Mom, come on now.
You know, look, you know, you do have, when you're a big artist, you know, you're not going to talk about what you do because you're going to get really critiqued, you know, everything. And when it came to the facelift, I had facelift trauma because my mom had a facelift in the 80s, and she got an infection in her face, and they had to keep going in, and it completely changed her look. And if you go back and you look at the pictures in the early 80s and then the late 80s, you can see a big difference in my mom. So I was really, and it was no fault of her own, it's come a long way. And I didn't want to change my look. I just wanted to refresh a little bit. So exactly, a new paint coat. And the thing about it is, though, I knew that I had a large enough platform that I could talk about it and answer questions for women and be a part of that conversation and be here in Nashville because it's the same doctors that everybody else uses that we love, and be able to share that through my experience so that, you know, it's kind of like Botox. You want to know if it hurts. Yeah, it hurts a little bit. You know, filler, yeah, that hurts. But you get to a certain age, I'm 60 now, to where Botox and fillers, you know, wasn't doing what I wanted them to do, and it's everybody on their own. Some people want to age gracefully, and I don't. So.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for doing that. But again, every time I'd see you post a video, I was watching this journey
Were
closely.
you following along?
Oh, I was following along the whole thing. I'm like, good for her. I don't think I would be brave enough to do that, but good for her. And isn't that just like her mama, who wouldn't have hit a thing, you know, that she was going through, right?
Well, Jacob Unger, so if any of you girls out there later, he does what's called a natural facelift because I did not want to change the way I looked. I just wanted him to lift up. So that's Dr. Unger. You can put it in your Rolodex. He's great. You'll all want it someday. As Mom says, call Reba and see what she got done. That's what we did.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, one of my favorite connections to my kind of personal Loretta Lynn obsession is that a couple of years ago, my girlfriends are here, we loaded up in my camper and we went to Hurricane Mills to get the full experience, and we did a girls trip. It was so much fun, wasn't it? We had the best time. And so we did a girls...
the girls right
yeah,
here?
they're over here. They're on the second row there. And we loaded up and went, and we did the whole thing. We did the replica of the house at Butcher Holler. We walked through the home. We shopped in the museum. I mean, it was just the best time. But it had me curious. I remember thinking it when I was there, but like, what is this like for her family to see? How many of y'all have been there? If you haven't, I mean, put it on your bucket list. It is a great time. But what is that like for you to, I mean, it is, the Crisco's still in the kitchen. I mean, it is like, just like when you guys lived there, the wallpaper, everything, and they've done such a beautiful job with it. But I couldn't help but think, what is this like for her family?
Well, for those of you who don't know, my mom and dad bought a ranch about an hour and 15 minutes west of Nashville, and that's where Peggy and I It's the only home we've ever known. And it's just this beautiful old, it's an antebellum home, and it's just gorgeous. And my mom and dad in 1974 opened the ranch up to, they started having camping and rodeos and events, and now, it's like 3,000 acres down there. That's what it is. It's like 3,100 acres at the ranch. Now we host the largest amateur motocross in the country. But in 1988, my dad and my sister was the last one to move out, and they opened up the home place for tours, but they never moved out of the home. So everything is exactly pretty much the way that it was when we lived there. And when you asked me that question the other day, how does it feel with people going into your home? What is it? And I was like, it is a gift that we've been given, because how many times do you think about your home, where you were raised, the place that, that built you, and we get to go in my twin and I are 60 years old and get to walk in our bedroom, that nothing has changed. And people that tour the house, my mom, because she was so open with people, so open and so inviting, that it's almost like, you want everybody to share this with you. And I just feel so fortunate. And the museum, my dad used to call my mom a pack rat, because my mom saved every single thing. And no matter who she was working with, if she was working with Faith, she'd say, Faith, give me that shirt you got on after the show. I'm taking it to my museum. I mean, that's just the way that she operated. And everything that my mom ever owned, from her very first dress to her very last dress, guitars are all in her museum, along with all of her friends' things. It's amazing.
I love knowing that she kind of personally curated the items that are in the
And
museum,
the handwritten notes. You can't hardly read them. I never could read my mom's writing. But it's just something that is so special and really personal.
Yeah. It's definitely something. You can spend the day and see all the things, and so special. I loved it. The guitar that your grandmother gave you is in the museum, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was 15 or 14. 14 or 15. 15, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she passed me that down. I was like, okay. And then I was like, oh, my goodness.
Well, it wasn't just a guitar.
Yeah.
It was my mom's Epiphone guitar from 1966. So You Ain't Woman Enough. All of these songs were written
on that guitar.
This is why I had to take my trip. Because of,
It is kind of heavy.
yeah. So, but now I'm like looking at it and I'm like, oh, you spoke something into me that I get to have gotten to explore, really taking hold of it really this year. So yeah, so it's cool, because it's like, wow, I was 15, and no wonder that I had to take that time. But now I'm like looking back at it, and I'm like, thanks, Meemaw. Like,
Yeah.
it's really cool.
I was really mad when Mom was giving the guitar to Emmy. I was like, what the hey? But Emmy wrote a song called Unwinding the Strings about that guitar, and it means all the stories that were held inside that guitar. It's kind of like if these walls could talk. And but it's in the museum. It's because there's items, even though they may be given to all of us or Mom's passed them down, some things should never belong to one person. They need to stay. These are legacy pieces, and she's allowed us to keep the guitar in the museum.
Well, we're going to wrap up the conversation, but I would love to know, Emmy, what you think that your mother got from Miss Loretta.
She's very charismatic. What's so funny is, like, every time I look at my mom, it makes me want to cry. It's like her eyes. Like, I think, like, just eyes makes me cry. Aww. So, yeah. And you're very spunky. You're very spunky. I mean, there's so many things. Oh, my gosh. But, I remember handing out autographs whenever to people, because I'd worked at, what would you call those? What are they called? March tables.
Yeah.
And I would always, look at, the top, and I'd cover up all the face, and I'd be like, look at those eyes. Those are my mom's eyes.
Oh, wow. That's pretty
Yes.
special. Yeah. What about the opposite? Do you see anything from your mother in your daughter?
On American Idol, Philip, my husband, Emmy's dad, we were there, and Emmy had told me that she was going to sing Coal Miner's Daughter. I had never, ever heard my daughter sing Coal Miner's Daughter. She has sang this song a million, my mom has seen, she has seen my mom sing it a million times. I've never heard her ever sing Coal Miner's Daughter. We're in the audience of American Idol, and she sits down. My mom's favorite instrument was a piano, and she couldn't play it. My daughter sits down at this piano, and in Emmy style, not my mom's style, puts her hands on this piano and starts singing Coal Miner's Daughter, all her own, in her own way. She's telling my mom's story, and I broke because I was like, I mean, my mom was there. And I have to, real quick, tell the story about that day and about, you were talking about Area 13 and Girl on Fire and what you were feeling.
Oh, yeah. So during that process of doing, they told me that I was going to close the show with Coal Miner's Daughter, and it was really fitting because that's how they would close, would be with me singing Coal Miner's Daughter. But I had just a vision of what I wanted. I said, I feel like the girl on fire, like coal, like from Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games. And I didn't know, but I literally kept on hearing District 12, District 12. This is some weird vessels. We're some weird vessels. Anyways, so I was like, okay, all right, District 12. And I looked it up, and that's actually Kentucky. That's Appalachian. Like, I did not know that. And so I said, they put me in like this dress, and I was like, coal dress, like a coal dress. It's silver. And I had my hair pulled back, and I didn't feel like I was looking, but I felt like myself, and there was no, and I just remember getting on the piano, and every time that I played the song, I would cry. And the time that I got up and I sang it again, I didn't cry, and it just felt like I'm proud of where I've come from, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not mad at it. I'm proud to be a coal miner's great-granddaughter, but I'm proud of her. And there was a difference of, I'm not mad at you. Not mad at you. You actually, I get to create, my mom said in the audition, I get to create my own shadow. Thank you for being a teacher for me. Even though it's been also, we all have our story, but I'm grateful that was able to be healed, and me to be able to almost feel like I was hugging her as I was singing that song, and like, you're here.
So the storytelling. So back to it, when I watched my daughter tell my mom's story and how she told it in her own way, I was like,
reading a book.
That's what Emmy got from my mother. Like Skinny and the songs that she sings. My mom could only sing what was her, what was true for her. That's what you received from her, is the ability to tell that story.
That's so special. And what a compliment, for the songwriting in particular, I know means so much to you. And we look forward to more music from you. Go have this baby, but don't stop making music.
I know. Come on.
For sure. Well, thank
you.
you both so much. This has just been such a special conversation. I hope you've all enjoyed it as well. We appreciate it. Your mom and I are going to step off the stage, and then we're going to hand the spotlight over to you, and you're going to play a couple of songs for us, which we so appreciate. Perfect. And we'll get to hear. Thank you. Emmy did indeed perform for us, and you will want to hop over to our YouTube page to watch both of these performances. Just search Got It From My Momma podcast. I'll put direct links in the show notes. Thanks again to Change the Conversation for partnering with us, and to all of the wonderful people who help us bring this podcast to you at no charge each week. All right, everyone, I hope you have a great week. I'll meet you back here.